What's up, y'all? We're back with more Donkey Kong Country 2 analysis. And this time we're going to start with Krook's March. Alright, so right off the bat, we've got some snares, and these snares, he gives it a little flam at the beginning, but mostly doing this light beat here. Keeps it kind of unexpected with this like 1, 2, 3, and then like this shuffle on the 3, where there's like 3 notes here. 3 notes on the 3, right? And then he gives it a rest for the 4, leaves the 4 off, and then here's an 8th note followed by a bunch of 5 16th notes, or for 4 16th notes, and then there's an 8th note, and then he hits it right on the 2, and then rests till the next bar. So he's kind of keeping it unexpected, changing it up a bit, a little bit of syncopation, but not too much. And then the strings are doing a straight up 4, 8th note chords, right? And this chord progression is interesting because it's actually the same chord progression from K. Rool Returns, just in a little bit of a different order. So instead of going, that was the chord progression from K. Rool Returns, but instead we do. So before we had D minor, G minor, D minor, E major, A major. So we had this sort of like where we would go from up a 5th, back down a 5th, and then we go to E, break the scale, and then go up a 5th again, up a 4, down a 5th to A. So it's sort of like a minor, something like that. But here we do D minor, E major, G minor, A major. So it's kind of like we do it out of order. So so we go from the D to E to G to A. So we're kind of rising here, right? And so we're keeping that tension going. It's a lot more tense, and there's less movement. In the K. Rool Returns, it was more like it's kind of more rolling around, but here it's just going straight up. So he's building tension here, especially in the introduction of this stage, because it's like, you want to make tensions rise because the floor is rising, right? It is that level. We're back. Yes, we're back. I'm ready, bros. Welcome. Geez, these chords are bliss. Yes, these are blissful chords right here. So even though the notes are going down, the root note of the chord is upwards, right? So it's an inversion. So the actual root of the chords are rising. Going D, E, G, A. Cool, pretty clever way to reuse those chords. And then he briefly reprises K. Rool Returns in its exact order with this one, with this part. Pretty nice. So then we come in All the while we have the snare beat going on, it's kind of breaking up the beat a little bit, so it's not just a straight march. We have the bass establishing the melody, which is unusual. The bass doesn't usually play the melody. So it's walking us down in like minor seconds. But still not breaking the scale. This is solidly in D minor. Definitely D minor. Just using the minor seconds in both of the minor seconds in this scale. So he's doing that to like kind of walk us down to the D here. And so he kind of hangs out on this. It's kind of that same scheme where we do like from a Haunted Chase, where we do like kind of playing around with these minor scales. And he leaves a rest here, so like to keep us. So he starts out with this like but he lets it rest because it's sort of like fading into silence, so it's kind of suspenseful. He gives us a little bit at a time, and then he's like, all of a sudden he comes in with this and this chromatic movement. So it's kind of sudden. It's kind of like there's silence, and then suddenly there's like a chromatic movement. So it's very building suspense in that way. And then he goes. And then he switches the scale. He's kind of coming up to, because here at this point, because it's at this point. It's at this point that we switch to the. And also he, like, by using G sharp here, he's also using that chord, right? The E major chord, using the third from that chord. So that's kind of strategic as well, keeping with the harmony. And then he's going to G minor with the chord, because the chords in the violas, or the harmony strings, is G minor, so he's kind of playing around with G minor now. And then he's making that same movement, landing on the third of the A. So he's kind of following the chords as they move up, kind of outlining the chords, really. Outlining that D minor chord, then outlining, landing on that third of the E major, outlining the G, and then landing on the third of the A major chord. So it's pretty clever. And then we have this harp sweep, right, that comes in, which is basically, it looks like it's just straight up doing a major chord, a major arpeggio. These are all A major notes right here. But he's choosing like a clever way to sweep the harp here, right? It's like, and he's doing this in like odd timing, so it's like because the harpist's sort of sweep would be a little bit out of time, you know, it wouldn't be perfectly in time at all, so it'd be kind of like a non-objective thing. It looks like he just stretched it out, you know, basically, or just used an odd timing and let it go. Will there be a Jingo Village? I don't even know what game that is. That's you'd have to like commission something like that. If you want a specific song, you would have to commission it. And it's $100 for a song for commission. I just realized there's a corporation of Donkey Kong Country 2. It's so cool. It is very cool. I just realized there's some similarity here to a track or two from an old PC called Battle Cross. Jinjo Village. I've Banjo and Tooie. Yeah, I never played those games, but if you want something specific, you have to commission it. Yeah, it's like it's $100 for one song. Put that in the Diablo menu theme. Ah, nice. Never played Diablo. Yeah, anyway, so he's kind of doing this thing with the harp suite. And then he does something fun here with the glockenspiel. So at this point, we are in a we're starting out back with our D minor chord, but he's sort of implying D minor 7, right? He's got the F major 7 with the F at the top. And basically, but the chord is D. So we basically have a D minor 9. And then when he goes to E, he hits on that the 7th of the because he hits on the 7th of the chord and the 5th of the chord. Kind of going back and forth with that. So instead of going in 4s, we're doing, and then he just instead of just going, he keeps it interesting by going back and forth before repeating the riff again. And at this point, we would be doing G minor. So we're kind of doing G minor 9 with this, right? And then we're including the 3rd in the top, starting on the 3rd. Then rolling back down from the 9th, 7, 5th. He's going up, and I think in the last one he also use the 9th in the last one? Yeah, I think he did the exact same thing. He started on the 3rd and then went backwards. Okay, so and then here he doesn't even do the back up and down. He just stops. And then he lets the harp sweep go. So it's kind of cool. He like drops it out and it's like kind of drops it up. It kind of drops it out for something else. And I think even though we're still doing the A sharp, the A major chord here, he kind of does it a little bit different, right? Because it starts it off on this A, right? But here he doesn't start it off on this A, probably because he wanted to keep the glockenspiel going for a little bit longer, right? So, because he did it in the same channel. And then he just repeats that riff. But now he's adding in brass, right? And he's kind of syncopating the brass. He's not starting it on the one beat. He's starting it later after the one beat. And so, let's see, it's trombones actually. So we have in D minor, we have 3rd, 5th, and root. So it's just inverted. Kind of doing this beat here, starting off slow and getting faster before stopping. With some echoes. And he's kind of doing it around the beat, right? So he's keeping that suspense by only doing a little bit at a time and then having silence and then having it suddenly come in higher, right? So it's building suspense. What? The glockenspiel? I haven't had the pleasure of playing those since 4th grade. Ha, yeah, but it's an important part of the orchestra, the glockenspiel. It's always being used in orchestras all over the place. Maybe not all orchestral suites, but it is quite a big part of the orchestra for the most part, especially cinematic orchestra. So when we go up here, so he's kind of using the root 3rd and 7th, but pitched down lower, right? And this is an E that makes this an E dominant chord, but with the other one inverted, the D inverted down. And then he starts by going to the 3rd, 5th, and root once again of the G chord. So he's really just climbing up with the chords at this point. And then doing this A sharp at the top is definitely climbing, right? So he's using the 3rd, I think it's the same as before, the 3rd. Actually this is the 9th though. So instead of using the 7th, he uses the 9th here. So he used the 5th, 3rd, and 9th. Pretty cool. Okay, and then we'll get to that part. But basically, he finishes. He just suddenly completely changes everything. Right? He has that harp sweep again coming in again, and then he suddenly changes everything by doing. Let's see what the chords are doing first of all. Oh yeah, the chords are just reprising K-roll returns, and then the melody we have kind of hanging out on this F chord here, or this F note, with the solo trombone. Basically just outlining a D major chord, but we hang on the F here, which is the 3rd, and then when he goes to G minor, he climbs to the 3rd of that chord, and then he goes back to D minor and out with a big, which is kind of like alluding to Crocodile Cacophony, right? Kind of alluding to that, right? Yeah. And then in the bass here, we kind of do this big old walk down, right? So where we ended on C sharp, we kind of go back to we kind of use that leading tone to go back into D minor. And then we just climb down diatonically. And then we do this quick walk down here, da-da-dum, to finish us off as a cadence. Right? And then we do, let's see, we also have a tuba down in there. Yep. And then in this bass, we do this kind of riff where we're like, da. So we use this G sharp to sort of like generate interest because this is not in the scale, right? This is like something to do with, I don't know. Well, this is that E major, actually. This is like pointing to the E major. And I think, oh yeah, actually, in our chords, we're doing, oh yeah, G minor, G minor, D minor, E major. Right, so we're just reusing those chords in different order again. And so the bass is kind of going to... There's the root of the chord, the G. And then we're going to, so that makes it D minor, the next one D minor over F. And then the other chord is E major over G sharp. Right? And so Then we do a big harp sweep, right? Slower one too. So this harpist takes its time this time. With some echoes too. And so this time, this is just an E major arpeggio we're doing here. And it's a little more in time this time, right? Like he's doing every step or so. All right, and these are all E major tones, so no mystery there. This is where I love the overall variation of musical pirate themes found in so many things, namely Princess Bride and One Piece Unlimited World Red. Yeah, I remember Princess Bride. I don't recall the music too much, but that's cool. Yeah. Pizzazz. Okay, and then we come into this next section where suddenly we're greeted with some highs and some highs here. And so up top we have... why is there something really high? Oh wait, no, that's not something really high. Looks like there's no bass here. Oh, this is like the pitch warble effect thing that I had to put in here for some reason. But first, before we do the melody, let's check out the harmony. So we've got, what do we got going on here? We got a single glockenspiel note on D here. And we've got pizzicato strings combined with the harp. So the harp and the pizzicato strings are layered here. So we're kind of going up and down a little bit, but keeping this G the same. And then going back down. Once again, doing this element of like taking the root, like kind of going down a minor second, and then climbing down a chord. Just kind of doing that as Dave liking to use this as a resolution, like. So, and then he just repeats that kind of. Yeah, pretty much. So that's just a little riff. And then we have that D going on in the glockenspiel. And then we have this pitch bent, these violins coming in here. So basically what this cluster means is just that he's sliding up into a minor second. So the main notes that are being played is here. He's just sliding up into them, and that's the most dissonant as it gets, a minor second. So he's really building up the suspense here, but he's giving up us a second so that it feels unexpected. If he brought it in immediately, it would be too on the nose, like because everything else is changing. So he gives us a second. He's like, you think it's going to be a normal section, but then suddenly a big old dissonant minor second comes in. So that's kind of unexpected, right? And then let's check out this melody. Clarinet, bass clarinet to be exact. Very low for a clarinet. So we start on G. Dun, da, da. Once again, just like kind of the way Haunted Chase did, he's going dun, da, da, dun, da, da. It's that 6-1 kind of, that 6-5-1 kind of thing. Da, da, da. Pretty cool. And then he's basically letting the melody have free reign here. This is also kind of alluding to Gangplank Galleon, right? Right, because he's starting out on D. Yeah, pretty clever thing to do, right? And then more like 1, 6, 5. So technically we're not even in D minor over here. We're like more in, because of this D sharp, we're more in G minor now. But I think with this theme, he's kind of flopping between G minor and D minor. So it's really ambiguous. Doing this big chromatic while we're way in the bass here. Basically ending on D, going back to D minor. Ooh, and then he does this. Oh yeah, so then he does, when the melody falls down and is way into the deep bass here, then the strings fall too. He starts on this with this big old chord here. What is this chord? This is like a C minor 7. And he just kind of brings that down. This falls down to... Oh yeah, I see. Actually, it's only these. And then he brings them down a perfect fifth. Slides them down over the course of like 2 bars. And then he does this really cool glockenspiel sweep. Right, so what's going on with this glockenspiel sweep? Basically, it looks like using some really strange intervals here. Basically, it's just like really off, a little bit off, you know, in thirds, I guess. Yeah, this is just like really off intervals. So he's basically doing like 3 notes where they're really lopsided, but he's going down in like, this is a fourth, perfect fourths. So they're all these bottom notes are perfect fourths from each other. And then he's just going down chromatically. And then he's like having these weird timing intervals. Ah, and he's changing the panning too. Look at that. So he makes them fall down in like makes them fall down chromatically, and then he starts off another one, a tritone down, right? D is like a tritone away, I think. Yep. And then another tritone down with the lower D. And then another tritone. And then what's he doing with the velocity? It's basically just getting lighter and lighter each time. Pretty clever. Nice line. It's hard to execute a well-placed dissonance. I tried it a couple of times on a couple tracks. Can't figure out, but there's a still. Yeah, I mean, there's a still. Similarity there to RoboCop. Ah, okay. I'm not familiar, but I know what you mean about the dissonance. You have to be, I'm sure you have to listen to a lot of music to really understand how it works. Dave listened to a lot of classical symphonies to get these ideas. Cool, so basically, doing that. We have now, we come back in with the basses and stuff. This time we have... It sounds like we're in G minor again, because we're using this leading tone. Oh, and this D. Nice, so we're using all minor seconds again to really build the suspense. And the hopeful progression next, right? So then we have these chords here in the string in the violas, I guess, or the cellos. Oh yeah, that's violas, all right. So we do G minor. Ah, I see. He's doing the 5 major. So this is a common thing that sometimes they'll do in classical music. He's using the leading tone in G minor to create a major chord on the 5. And he kind of did this in Welcome to Crocodile Isle, right? When he did, or what was it? Right, so it's kind of the same thing, except just in A minor. So he's kind of reprising that sort of idea. Kind of bouncing between that, but wait, here on the 3rd bar, when he comes back to that, he does, and then just moves to that for a half bar, so to keep it unexpected. Cool, and then he just repeats that. And then what is he doing in the background here? What is this? High string. Oh yeah, he's got an A sharp floating above here. And even when he goes to D major, it doesn't really change. It stays constant. And that is functioning basically as a... Actually, it's way higher. Way higher than that. So it's really floating above these chords here. It's far enough away where it just creates a little bit of dissonance, where it just doesn't even... We don't really notice it too much. So it's kind of this constant ringing tone in the background. And then we have our pizzicato strings here. Doing a G minor arpeggio, and then the D major arpeggio. But it always ends on the D, so you don't really notice it changing too much, because it starts on D and ends on D. The only thing we change is the F sharp and the A, so you don't really notice it too much. Ah, but he changes it here too, so why do we do that? We're still doing G minor in the harmonies, but he changes it here, kind of implying a D sharp major chord. Kind of keep it rising, right? So it's like another minor second to build suspense. So even though the bass doesn't really support that, actually no, it does, because I remember it was like doing... I was like... Ah, yes, now I remember. Here it was going to D sharp, so it actually is kind of part of the thing here, which means that we basically have E flat major 7, which is only one note. The only difference between that and G minor is that we have this D sharp here in the root. So now I kind of see why he was doing that in the strings, like having the strings just basically go back there to D sharp, or going back there to G. Very clever. And so now then we just do outlining G minor. Oh yeah, because of that quick transition, right? He starts out going G here, and then D for the rest. So he's kind of just outlining that. There's also, once again, that little... Oh wait, but it's major here. Cool. And then he just kind of repeats that. Oh, but he does, then in the second iteration here, he goes back to that... Oh wait, no, he goes back to G. Ah, but actually he ends on the D sharp here, so that's interesting. Dun, da, da, da. So he's just doing a little bit of a variation there. Okay. And let's see what he's doing in the melody. Avoiding to hit, he's not hitting the downbeat here, so that's different. Wait, we start off with the clarinet. Have the staccato notes going in the back here. So he starts out leaving off a beat. Doing that. And once again establishing G minor with that. Da, 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 da. He's playing, and then at this point we've switched to D major, so he's doing root, 7th, 5th. And then repeating the same thing, but now we're in E flat minor, so that's a bit of a different context. Now what was before the 3rd to root is now the 5th to 3rd. Da, da, da. This is that part where we're doing G minor to D major. So he's following that with the 3rd to 5th. Basically just repeating the same thing in the melody, but then he puts these strings on top. He adds these strings on top of it the second time. And then in the strings, and glockenspiel, he goes down. He goes from... Oh wait, these are different notes actually. So instead of starting on A sharp, he's doing it like a 3rd above, except it's an octave and a 3rd above. So basically, it's like a 3rd. But he leaves an octave space in between there. Pretty cool. And instead of following that pattern and doing So he's doing... Instead, he goes down to A with this one. Effectively creating an octave in the end, which is more consonant, you know? It creates a sort of finality. Wow, it's looking great. Thank you, Alfredo. Welcome. Pretty cool. So, and then he's basically mirroring what the what the lead strings is doing with the glockenspiel. Layering them together. Okay, and then we kick it up a notch here. Let's see. Oh, and then he does a little harp sweep here. And this is basically just a D major arpeggio he's doing here. Pretty cool. And then when he goes here, this time he's climbing up on that D minor or like B flat major 7 arpeggio. Using that 7th to root 3rd 5th. Create suspense by having that 7th in there. Very nice. And it's also a minor 2nd, so that creates a little suspense too. So then in the bass, we're doing this sort of riff. Once again, going back to G minor. Ooh, that's nice. Resolving on that F here. Right, because remember what we said, we like to end one phrase on one note and then go down and then go up a 5th, right? And so he ends on B flat, and then what's a 5th above that is F. But instead he goes down, so down a 4th. And he ends on this F in the next phrase. So it's just a kind of a nice classical melody to do. You can do whatever you want in the middle there, but end on one note, and then go a 4th down or a 5th up to that. So we go from A sharp to F for our ending notes. And then what do we do here? Da, da, da. Just repeat that again. I think we just keep on repeating that basically, yeah. Just a bunch of times. Okay, and then here we add some more marcato strings. Dun, 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 dun. We just keep this F going. And since we technically have no chord progression here, it's kind of just free reign. But in the bass, we're doing an A sharp, and if we were to build an A sharp major chord off that, which this is actually, the harp is doing A sharp major 7. So, could say that this is like the 5th of that chord here. Ooh, and then we go up to A sharp here. So I could say, one might say we're just doing a straight A sharp major 7 chord here, and then doing some melody stuff in the bass, playing around. Go up to A sharp, so the root note. Ooh, and now we're doing some fun stuff in these horns here, right? Trombones. Ooh, what have we got here? Another minor second, surprise. And also this, yeah. So also sounds like, also looks like A sharp major 7. Just with the A sharp at the top. And no fifth here. And then we resolve that to a regular old G minor chord with the D in the bass. Nice. And then we do, in the next phrase, we do sort of nice, basically A sharp, B flat major 7 also. But we use, this time we omit that third, and we just leave the 5th and 7th, and the root, but we transpose the root up top. And then we resolve that up instead of down this time to an F major chord. Nice, pretty creative stuff. And with that, we're primed to go into our melody. So what do we do first? We keep everything the same. We keep that bass the same and the strings. But this time we switch out our harp for this synth right here. And now, not only did we switch it to a synth, which is more bold, it's using a lot more, it's a lot brighter of a sound. So it carries a lot more energy. It's also a lot more of an aggressive timbre. And it's got these syncopated F notes here in between all the eighth notes. So we're basically building energy by keeping it faster pace and by using a brighter timbre, brighter instrument. But it's the same notes anyway. Same repetitive thing. Okay, so we're building more energy here, and then wait. And we also add our melody here, our bold melody taken from basically from Minecart Madness. Da 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 da. Once again, outlining this G minor chord, right, in the trombone. G minor chord. And so we're in the second run, we're effectively shorting that melody. And then we go for an even longer one than before. Right? And now we're jumping up, so we're sort of outlining a G minor chord here. No, actually this would be more like, yeah, something else. This is like C minor, I guess, maybe? Nice, and then we end on C here. Pretty cool. Meanwhile, everything else stays the same. We still pretty much have a sharp minor, A sharp major chord, A sharp major 7. And we still have those trumpets going, they're all the same too. And we also have the snares. Those snares came in too. But they play lower, so he plays it at a lower pitch for some reason. Possibly to give it more bass value so it doesn't interfere with the rest of the instruments. And then it's the same beat as in the beginning, so we sort of reprise that rhythm. I find the track I'll find the track from Battle Chest. It's very similar, kind of. It's a weird cross energy of Vangelis. Nice. Okay. So, and then now we go straight back to the beginning. Pretty cool, if I do say so myself. So now let's try In A Snowbound Land, and then after that we'll call it a night. Did I save it? I don't think I changed anything. Da 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 da. Oh yeah, no worries. In your top 5, nice. This will be a treat for you. So first we have this bass, fingered bass, or fretless bass. Right, so seems to be establishing a chord progression. It looks like we're in F major here. And then we do 1, 4, 6, 7. Let's see, at least my anticipation so far. And in the synth bass, we're sort of mirroring that same thing, right? Is that right? That can't be right. That doesn't sound, that sounds weird. I think this has the wrong tuning. Definitely has the wrong tuning. What note is this? Oh, wow. We're half a note off. Well, that's right enough. There we go. Nice. So you have that legato bass to sort of make the make the bass section more ambient. Especially since we don't really have a kick, you know? You can kind of fit all that in there. And then we have this bass is doing like 30-second notes, which is pretty fast. So we're kind of sort of generating a lot of, I don't know, energy, I guess. A little bit of energy. Because I think this is more like 16th notes, maybe. I don't know. I think it's just 16th notes, actually. But he's sort of creating a rhythm out of this because it's like while the bass is rising overall, there's certain steps are like behind each other. So one of them, some are more muffled. So he's creating this sense of rhythm, even though there's the same amount of stuff being played. So these sort of sound like off notes. These are less strong. These are less, like the filter opens up and these notes are brighter. This note is brighter than this one. So we definitely have this rhythm, a little bit of rhythm in the bass. So it's pretty cool that he's establishing that rhythm with that. And then we have this ring sound, right? And so to create, what's he using to create this ring sound? He's actually using the glockenspiel that we just heard in Krook's March. But he's taking the attack out. And he's playing it up high. Right, so it sounds like just a little ring. And what note's he playing? He's doing C. Okay. And then in the bass we were doing F, so that makes that the 5th of F. He also goes up to A sharp, which doesn't really make much of a difference because it's so much higher than the bass. That's cool. I made it for this stream. I love Snowbound Land. Welcome, Timal. And then in the second part, he goes up to second half of the progression. He goes up to G. He goes up a 5th. And then meanwhile in the bass, he's doing D. That makes this the 4th up. And he's doing E, which makes that a 3rd, so that tracks. Pretty nice. Very ambient too. Okay, so what's he doing in the chords here? Got some strings going on. So we definitely have an F here, F chord. Ooh, D minor. So he's doing, but in the bass we're doing A sharp major. Or A sharp, we're doing A sharp. So that makes this an A sharp minor 7, A sharp major 7. So basically we're doing F major to B flat major 7. And then in the strings, we go back to F sharp. We go back to F, I mean. But in the bass, we have a D, so that makes this a D minor 7. And then we go to C in the strings, and we have an E in the bass, so that means it then just makes it C over E. C major over E. So basically, what chord progression we have so far is F major to B flat major 7. Going way up like this, because the highest note we had here was in C. And then we go straight up in another A. So that generates a lot of like wonder. You know, it's like we start low, and then we're like pretty cool. So we're going from F to B flat major 7, F major, E flat major 7, to D minor 7, to C major over E. Pretty cool emotional chord. So in the context of the scale, it would be 1, 1, 1, 4, 6, 5. Basically, he's doing 1, 4, 6, 5. Top chords, basically. Nice. Okay, so anyway, what are we doing in this beat here? So this like blowing sound here is a heavily reverberated wave station sample. Blown bottle. It's like, so that when you take a bottle and you blow off the top, and you hear that resonance of like, it's like resonating in the bottle. That's basically what that is. There's basically a lot of noise and a lot of wind resonating on this lower frequency here. Pretty cool. And then this ice crack is from the Roland percussion disc. Roland Rhythm Instruments disc. It's basically just a clap with a long tail on it. But it sounds more kind of like an ice crack in this context, so that's pretty cool. And then we have this sawtooth. Or no, basically just a sine wave with it's kind of almost a sawtooth. Almost a sine wave, but has some saw harmonics over here. Nice. So what's the rhythm this thing is doing here? Oh yeah, we're not hitting on the beat here. We're giving a little bit of leeway for the beat before the beat. Then we have one hit, and then we come in with like a bunch of different hits. Dun, 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 dun. Nice. Following the root notes of the chord here, we have F, A sharp, D, E. Nice. Pretty good. And then we have this bell. And this bell, interestingly enough, it hits the root here. But it hits the 7 here. So that's pretty interesting. It's high enough where it can do that. It's not in the bass, so that's not a problem. It's in the mid-range. Yeah. And then we stay on that A here, which makes that a 5th. It's hitting the 5th of the D minor. And then we hit the 5th of the C chord as well. Pretty cool. Keep going in a loop with that. And then we have our hi-hats. This synth hi-hats. Cool, so he's kind of varying on that beat as he goes. And they're pitch bending too, so he pitch bends them in the system. They're going down and up and down and up. Sort of like wishing, washing away, like kind of like wind a little bit. Like a whistling. And it keeps on doing this like back and forth on the beat. Then he does this, and he does a little bit of syncopation here, right? To break it up before going back to the regular beat. Pretty cool. First time catching a stream, I would have called this music. I would have to call this music forensics. I love it. Oh, I like that term. Music forensics. Never heard of that before. Pretty cool. Okay, and now then we come in with our melody here, with the blown bottle. Let's see. So in the we're using the third here. Our chord is F major, right? Whoops. Resolving up. We're sort of using that idea from like aquatic ambience that Dave used a lot. Right? That's using combining minor and major intervals, minor seconds and minor and major thirds, right? Pretty cool. And then the next chord that we hit on is going to be the A sharp chord. So we're hitting the root here. And then we go to D minor 7. So here we're starting on the 5 of the chord. But we're using the same melody as before, which is something that Dave likes to do, is like repeat the melody in a different chord. You know, the same melody in a different chord, but now has a different context. And then we go... Right, this is interesting because A is like very far from the chord of C, so it's sort of like this would be like an A minor. In the context of that scale. Otherwise, it would have to be going up for all the way up to, which is not really realistic. So I'd say maybe this melody makes this like an A minor chord over E. Which would be interesting, because if we do... Oh yeah, that'd be a lot more interesting than the C minor chord, C major chord, right? So then we basically have F major, which is 1, 4, 6, 3. I'd say that feels a little more right too. Nice. Yeah. But then he's resolving to that G, the 5th of the C chord, so that's pretty interesting. So it's sort of like an internal resolution. And then he goes, I think he turns the harmonies down a bit. Let's see. Oh, yeah, lots of things change here. Let's see. We've got... Oh, yeah, we go into a different section here. So it looks like we got this bell. Let's go for our bass first. Well, actually, the bass is the only thing that stays the same. Actually, except for the fact the notes stay the same, but the pacing of the bass guitar, fretless bass guitar, changes. So we build tension by chopping this up into more notes. You know, we pick up the pace a little bit. Pretty clever. Dreamcast boot up, nice. Have you already analyzed Mining Melancholy? That's my favorite track from DK2. Yes, that would be in an earlier stream. You can go back and look at my live streams to find that one. There's another similarity. The wishy-washy sound is also used in a track from American McGee's Alice. I never heard of it. So we're still basically... Oh, no, wait. We're doing different notes here. Going from G to C to D sharp. Interesting. That's definitely a different scale now. To F. Interesting. It sounds like we're just transposing everything up to two semitones. Really? Yeah, that's basically... Well, no, that would be... This goes one semitone from the last one. Interesting. So... I would say now we're in G minor, if anything. So maybe we're doing that same thing we did from Krook's March. We're going from D minor to G minor in the middle of the song. Which would be interesting. Okay, so G, C, G, C, E flat, F. Nice. And then I'm assuming the bass, the other bass does the same. Yep. Nice. Okay, and then in our harmonies here, we have choirs doing quarter notes. And so in the context of the bass having a G here, so I'd say this is solidly a G minor chord. And then we go up to C in the bass, making this possibly a C major chord. But that would be definitely breaking the scale, because then we go to G, something with D sharp. Very interesting. Right. So then we start on D sharp, basically making this a D sharp major chord. And we go up to F, basically implying an F major chord. Right, so basically it looks like we have G minor, C major over E. Actually, it's not over E, it's still going up. You can play this in the bass too. Nice. So we're doing and then suddenly we go down to very interesting. So I'm not sure what scale we're implying here. You haven't. Hello there. Hello, not Bootstrap. Welcome. If you're not sure, it's an old mobile phone game that has also brought me back to a track called Dungeon Boss. I have never heard of that at all. Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell at all. So I don't know. So anyway. Yeah, that's pretty no, I'm gonna have to yeah, I'm not sure what exactly it's pointing to at this point. But in the beat, let's see what we have going on here. Basically mirroring what the bass is doing, right? And here we're also kind of double timing the beat here, where we're quickening the beat, right? So now we have this ice crack every half a bar, or on the 3 of every bar, and then we have the bottle blowing effect on the downbeat of every bar, rather than every 2 bars. So we're definitely quickening the pace here. And we just have 2 little hits from the from the synth here, popcorn synth. So it's quickening definitely. Yeah. All right. And then in the bell, we're doing D. Oh yeah, because this definitely makes this a G minor chord. C for C major. G. If I recall correctly, we had G sharp, D here. Yeah, so that makes that a D. G, E flat major. So we basically have and then so it's basically like a God chord here. We're breaking the scale. Very interesting. Cool. Interesting chords. Now I forgot what the next chord is. Completely forgot. Basically, we're doing an A here. Wait, wasn't this a... Oh, I forgot about this part here. Basically running off the same chord progression as before. So in the context of F minor, we have 3rd to 5th. Going down a 5th to the F on the resolution on the rest for the next one. Dave loves these phrases with like rests at the after a bar, right? Because he lets you hear the silence, enjoy the silence first. And then does an octave up. He also likes repeating things that are an octave up after he plays them once. It's sort of like aquatic ambience, right? Yeah, and then he finally, after all those Fs that he keeps hitting, he finally comes back to C, like he did in the beginning. Pretty cool. And then coming back to this this craziness here. Let's see, we've got... Yeah, what's the melody doing here? Oh, some strings. Alright, so basically our chord progression is... We have the G minor. Basically, we're hitting the third here to begin with, and then we go down to the ninth. To the fifth of C major. And we hit that note a little bit before the bar, which is interesting. And then we go for our D sharp, or our E flat major. So we're hitting the fifth of that in the melody. Going down gives us an 11th, actually. When we go down for a minute, we get a brief 11th. Down to our 7th. No, down to our 9th. No, actually, we switch chords here. Yeah, I still forgot what that chord... Oh, yeah, I think it's an F. Yeah. Yeah, so we're resolving to a quite natural F sharp F major. So basically, we have... And then we go to... Alright, that G minor down to... G minor 9. Yeah, very beautiful chords. And then we go... We go up here to a new height, so it's like we finish off that grand gesture, right? Pretty nice. Right back to the beginning too. So we resolve with the next note in the beginning. Very interesting. And the first note that we started on was an F, so that basically means... And look at what we're doing, something interesting here in the bass. Going an octave up on that D, right? Okay, so also it looks like... Let's see, the phrase started on this. Oh yeah, he's cutting this off a bar short, I think. Right, because we started on, here's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, look at that, he cuts it off one bar so that when we get that resolution, we think it's another section, but it's actually just a loop, which is really clever. So he's cut off that last bar here, so it sounds like a resolution. So we go straight from D sharp that D. Whoops, not the best instrument to do that on. Unless we go up here. We go straight from D sharp to C. So if we go to the strings here, we go. Oh wait, we're doing. Alright, so it's not that much of a resolution. It's basically a well, if we're in the key of G minor, it's basically a 6 to 7. But we're kind of I guess we're kind of resolving from up to F. Feels pretty grand, you know? Yeah, I like that. Pretty cool, pretty clever. I know David Wise was quoted as being influenced by Vangelis. Yeah, it's definitely the Vangelis thing. Sounds like an 80s ballad when slowed down. Yeah, this is definitely right. Yeah, it's definitely Vangelis. It's Antarctica. He's sort of emulating that. I think he also said in a tweet that this was composed by Evelyn, maybe, and he like adapted it. I don't know. I'm just saying what someone told me. But anyway, that's a lot of fun. I like this tune a lot. So we'll call it there for today. And then we'll come back next week. Tomorrow, I think we'll be doing a fan commission, a new game. So that'll be something to look forward to. But for now, I'm gonna go to sleep because it's 11. Well, not necessarily sleep yet, but I'm gonna go do some reading and then get ready for bed. All right, y'all. Thanks for coming to the stream, and this will be hello Nintendo TV 64. I was just on my way out. But yeah, check out the rest of the stream. Yeah, have a good evening. All right, y'all. I will take my leave and get ready for bed. Have a good night, and thanks for coming to the stream. This is Jam and Sam signing off. Until next time, take care.